welcome to episode 66 of Chew on This, a Nerds United podcast. I'm BJ.
Vic. So we actually had a second Patreon, what's a subscriber, a donator, I guess
Yeah,
you would call it. Yeah.
a
So we have
donor.
our second one. Yeah, donor. His name is Rob. So this is your shout out. Thanks for giving us your money.
Rob, thanks, buddy. We really appreciate it. Shout out to you. So, yeah, thanks, Robert. We really appreciate your patronage. And again, for all you folks out there, Patreon. Patreon is a really awesome way to, give to your favorite artists or podcasts or anything like that. And it really helps us out to bring you all different types of content, helps us go to cons and like interview celebrities. Like we have a lot of lofty goals. But Patreon is a really good way to do it. And that's Patreon, patreon.com/chew on this podcast. So it's patreon.com/Patreon or patreon.com/chew on this podcast. And anywhere from $1 a month donation all the way up to I think the highest we go is like $100. And there's all kinds of really cool rewards from all different tiers. But just $1 and you get a shout out. So we really appreciate you guys coming to our Patreon page and giving to our podcast. Really appreciate it. So thanks, Rob. So this is Chew on This Gets Romantic.
Yep. This is our episode of romance. This is our.
God,
This
and there's
is
no
our.
female on this episode.
Yeah, it's just two guys, so you can get romantic that way too, I guess.
Not that there's anything wrong with
So
that.
no, but for us it would be.
Yeah.
So this is our episode where I think we took it in two different directions, which is kind of cool. You did movie like most romantic movies or interesting like love triangle or whatever you want to call them. I went with the relationship itself, so there was no particular movies on some of these. I range anywhere from comic books to TV shows to movies. So give me one of your movies since you went with movies. Let's
Okay, so
hear your first
I
one.
t-
Oh,
I-
and these are no particular order.
Yes, no particular order
particular
at all.
order.
These are just some, when we talked about doing this episode, it was getting really close to Valentine's Day. And we have an actual movie review next week, so we can't do Valentine's Day next week. But this is our Get Romantic episode, and we're going to go into our favorite, or some of our favorite movies that have, I guess, romance in them. I went the way of movies. You went TV mostly, but I went the way of movies, and looking at
Maybe
movies.
maybe they should like light a candle and like pour some red wine first before listening to this episode.
Put on some Marvin Gaye.
Yeah, lower a little bit so that
You
that
can
would be
still
kind of
hear us.
interesting. Like listen to Marvin Gaye in the
I wonder
background.
if we should put on our like a little lower voice, like a little like sexy voice, or whatever. We're gonna talk about some of
I
these
can't
movies.
do that.
Okay, let's not do that. All right, so I'm going to talk about some movies that I love that have romance in them, but they are, because this is a nerd and geek show, I kind of went that way. So my first pick as far as romance goes, or romantic movies, I'd have to go with the first Superman.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I have
That's
to.
funny. That's weird because I was coincidentally I was just watching the first Superman on Netflix right now.
Oh, nice to kind of wash that bitterness of the Zack Snyder universe out of your mouth.
I just wanted to watch a good movie.
Oh, okay. Zing. Yeah. So the first Superman, it was really interesting to finally see Superman and Lois Lane. Of course, I don't think they get it on until the second movie, but they have some really good banter in that first movie. And I love the scene where she finally meets Superman for the first time and like interviews him. Not when
Oh,
he
right,
saves her, because I think that's the first time she meets him, is like he saves her after falling from the helicopter or whatever. And I love how he's like, "I got you," and she's like, "Well, you got me, but who's got you?"
Right.
Really good, great line. But yeah, when they're on the rooftop and she's interviewing him, and I can't remember some of the dialogue, but I remember him telling her what kind of panties she was wearing, what color, and I thought I was like, man, Superman, you little freaking creeper. But I was thinking to myself, shit,
Well,
if I
she
was,
asked him.
oh yeah, and I'm like, if I were Superman, I'd be doing all sorts of things with that X-ray vision.
I don't think you would be Superman then.
No, I wouldn't be a good Superman. I'd be like, oh man,
You'd be like Bizarro.
your breast job is terrible. Like,
Yeah.
you got the Marty Feldman going on there. Anyway, yeah, that's my first pick is Superman. Which way did you go?
So I went a little bit nerdier than that. Well, not nerdier than that, but I went with I actually started with the comic book characters, but we'll go back into that.
Okay.
But since you did movie, my first TV show one was Ross and Chandler.
Oh
From
yeah.
Friends. So that was mine. Even though it was like a weird, like it got really weird towards the last two seasons. I
Wait,
think like
did you say
even Friends like fell into the category of like if the show you feel is running stale, either somebody gets pregnant or a baby pops out somehow.
yeah? Did you say Ross and Chandler or Ross and Rachel?
Oh, I said Ross and Chandler for some reason. I meant Ross and Rachel.
Uh-oh. We better turn this podcast off right now and just like forget it. Squash this idea.
I meant Ross and Rachel.
Something's happening, folks.
Yeah.
Ross and Rachel.
Funny.
Oh,
I can't believe.
so
Yeah.
when you say Ross,
Oh, you know
and
why I
Rachel-
thought that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Wait, you know why I said Chandler? You know why I said Chandler? Because as I was writing this list down, I was thinking Ross and Rachel, and I was thinking the exact opposite of Chandler and Monica.
Oh yeah.
Because I couldn't stand their relationship. Like it wasn't fun like Ross and Rachel's were.
Hmm.
Like I hated Chandler after he got with Monica. But
Yeah, he's
that's probably why I said Chandler.
yeah. His character kind of changed a little bit once he got together with Monica. But I don't know. Like when I think of Friends, I think nerdy and romance and all that stuff. The first thing that comes to my mind is when Jennifer Aniston wore the slave Leia outfit, like that episode. And holy crap!
Well, that's part of their relationship, so I chose wisely. To quote the first knight from Indiana Jones.
Absolutely. That was also used in How I Met Your Mother. That line a few times. So if you want to get a little nerdy, little geeky here, I really enjoyed Shaun of the Dead, and
Okay.
because the first thing that he thinks about once the zombie apocalypse is happening is that he needs to get to his girlfriend, even though I think they were broken up or something like that, weren't they?
Yeah, they just broke up.
They just broke up, and so like he goes over there to get her and to get her out of there and save her, which I always thought that was pretty cool. But that movie, I mean, beyond that movie's it's hysterical. It's
That's an interesting choice that you went with that movie. I would not have thought about romance for that one. Mine's a little funny too. Mine was I don't think you would guess that I would pick this one, but I went with Clark and Ellen Griswold from the National Lampoon movies.
Nice. What was your favorite?
I don't know. I just thought
what was your favorite vacation?
my
movie?
favorite one. Well, every year a tradition is to watch A Christmas Vacation on
Yep.
Christmas.
Us too.
I have like we have like 4 or 5 movies that we have to watch on Christmas. You don't even have to watch them; they just have to be played throughout the entire day.
Right.
Christmas Vacation is one of those movies. So that one's up there, but it's also tied with the very first one. I really like the first one too.
Nice. Yeah, I do too. I thought the second one was really bizarre.
European Vacation.
Yeah, and then the last one, the Vegas Vacation, was okay, but Christmas is way up there. That's on my list too. I love that movie.
Yeah, the first one and Christmas Vacation are just 1A and 1B for me.
Nice. So next on my list, I've got Edward Scissorhands.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that movie. That's like when Tim Burton was really on top of his game, coming out with really quirky movies. But I thought, like, you had Anthony Michael Hall being a dick, which was weird because usually he plays like the scrawny little kid, and in that movie, I was
Right.
like, damn, that dude grew up. Holy shit. You know,
It's like Carrot Top. He got tired of people making fun of him, so he jacked up.
he got jacked up. I still make fun of him though. You can't polish a turd, right? I don't
No, I guess.
know.
He was really dickish in that movie though.
Yeah, he was. He was a total dick. And I think he even dies in that movie, kind of like how Gaston does in Beauty and the Beast. He's
Oh
like such a
right.
dick. But
Oh,
I just
spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen Beauty and the Beast yet.
they're like, you asshole! Like Beauty and the Beast is about to come out, you ruined it.
I wasn't even gonna watch the cartoon. I was just gonna wait for the movie. You fucking just ruined it.
No one spoils movies like Beach.
There's probably like a handful of people who actually listen to this podcast who were not around or old enough or even born yet when the first Beauty and the Beast came out. You just fucking ruined the movie for them like 4 weeks in advance.
Maybe, hopefully, they're going like, who's Gaston? Um,
They'll figure
Probably
it
not.
out.
They'll figure it out. They're like sitting there.
Toys are already out for that movie.
They're like just watching the movie and they hear the name Gaston for the first time. They're like, that fucking dude on the podcast
Fuck.
ruined it.
Yeah. I already know that guy dies.
Yeah.
And like he or she happens to be the only person that never saw the cartoon, and everybody in the audience is turned around like, no shit, Sherlock. Like, yeah, he fucking dies.
Yeah, but I loved Edward Scissorhands. It was such a quirky, weird movie, but I mean, it's one of many quirky characters that Johnny Depp does, but it's like one of the first ones that you just fall in love with, and then
Yeah.
his relationship with Winona Ryder in the movie was great. Really,
Yeah, back then he was only wearing white makeup and not doing the British accent. So you got lucky there.
yeah. So go back and watch that, folks, and enjoy it. I mean, it's such a wonderful movie. What else you got?
Well, I'm trying to stay away from like the nerdy stuff. So because the rest of it's all like nerdy shit.
That's okay.
So the other normal thing, a quote unquote normal thing I have on here is Will Hunting and Skylar from Good Will Hunting.
Oh man, good one.
I love that movie so much.
I did too.
That was the name of his actual girlfriend at the point at that time when Matt Damon was writing that movie. So that's where they got the name Skylar from.
Oh, I did not. That I did
I
not
think
know.
I think they had actually broken up by the time they were nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah,
So
he
it's
broke
kinda
Minnie Driver's
weird.
heart, as far as I know. I think
Yeah,
he like
they
crushed her
yeah they well, are you talking about in real life? Because they
in real
did
life.
date in real life.
In real
Oh,
life,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but I love that movie. Everything about that movie is
I
perfect.
I had a huge crush on her, man. Like, you watch what is it, Grosse Point Blank, with John Cusack
Right.
and her in it was good. Oh shit, that would have been a good one too. I didn't have that on my list. I love that movie.
It's been so long since I've seen that movie. I think it's on Netflix, but I'm not sure.
It might be. It's fantastic. But she's amazing. She's a great actress, and I was just totally in love with that girl back then with those two movies. But also, speaking of John Cusack, he's in a lot of romantic comedies. I loved High Fidelity too. Again, that was like another movie
Yeah,
that was a
I mean,
complicated love story.
the one that started it all for him was probably Say Anything, right?
Oh shit, good pull. Yeah.
That iconic scene where he's out there in the brown trench coat and has the boombox over his head.
Yeah, originally they didn't have that song playing. They had no song. They had, I forget what song was playing, but it was not "In Your Eyes" by Peter Gabriel. That was added in later.
Oh, okay.
But
Did they have a song there, or they didn't have
they
anything?
did.
playing
I don't know if there was actually something playing over the boombox initially, or if he had a different song in mind but couldn't get it, or that wasn't approved or something. I don't know.
Oh,
I have to go back and read it,
right.
but I know
I think
there
I heard that
was.
story.
Yeah, I know that there was a different song there though. It was not "In Your Eyes," but "In Your Eyes" was big at that time, so they popped that in there, and it fucking works. Damn man, Cameron Crowe needs to put out some more movies because I love that movie and I love Almost Famous, which is like a huge, like it's a soundtrack of your life. He's
Yeah.
so good at putting together soundtracks. Um, What else? So yeah, that was a good one. Okay, the oddball one that I have on here is Weird Science.
Wait, who the fuck is the love interest in that?
Well,
Where's the romance in that one?
the two they try to create their
That's
the
not romantic.
ultimate
That's
woman.
fucking creepy.
I, they try to create the
And they were
ultimate woman to
supposed to
sleep with.
they were
and
supposed to share her, and they're such big virgins that they don't. But basically, every night they're supposed to switch on and off to her.
Do you remember?
That's not romantic at all.
Do you remember they were in the shower together with her and they were like wearing underwear? I just
They were-
thought that was the weirdest thing in the world.
Wait, how is this movie romantic?
Because eventually they gain their courage or they gain their confidence and they end up with those two girls who were way too hot for them at the end. So, but I, dude,
There wasn't a lot of romance there.
who
There
was
wasn't a
not?
lot of
Maybe
romance 'cause
I was more in love with Kelly LeBrock than I was with that movie. But
probably, but there was like no romance in that movie, dude. There's no romance. They get the girls at the end because they fight a biker gang.
oh, that one guy, that bald
That's
guy.
basically they were all from Mad Max, but like that's what you're telling nerdy kids is like you're not gonna get the hot chick or find anybody till you fight a biker gang. You know how many nerds got killed in the 80s because of that?
They're- people are like all this. They're attempting it, and like all these people are getting murdered. Oh, there goes another
I have
one.
no idea.
Another
Yeah, they have
nerd
no
tried to
idea
win a
why
girl
people
over. It
keeps-
didn't work.
Yeah, by fighting a gang.
First, they like putting people. Like, what did they? How did they build her again? Did they scan a bunch of shit into a computer and then they shoved a Barbie
scanned
doll
a-
in there and
They scanned a Barbie doll and all these like different attributes of her.
okay,
What her lips might look like, what her
her
and-
body and all that stuff.
the
and then
movie makes no sense whatsoever. They put bras in their heads.
and they're watching
Spoilers.
Frankenstein in the background too, which is I was
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah.
okay. Anyway,
They scanned a Barbie doll. They put lips and pictures of their like perfect eyes, perfect lips. They even give her like a chest size. They give her like the brain of Einstein and all this shit. Like they make her like the perfect girl, and out comes Kelly LeBrock, who has
yeah.
magic for some reason.
Yeah,
I didn't
that's
see
it.
any like.
That's
I don't
right.
understand how she has magic.
I don't think people
And
are
I'm like,
really paying
I'm like
attention.
analyzing this movie. Like I'm analyzing this movie like it's fucking a real thing.
Okay, so my favorite line from that movie came from Bill Paxton. This is like before
Which
he was
one?
in
Yeah,
Terminator 2. My favorite line is when like his little brother is like really sick because he drank a bunch of alcohol and he comes home and, and Bill Paxton goes, "How about a nice greasy pork sandwich served in a dirty ashtray?" And the kid like runs in the bathroom to throw up. It was awesome.
I like when Anthony when they walk away from him and he's like, he's an asshole. Anybody with that haircut is an asshole.
Yeah. That movie. Oh, shit, man. I haven't watched that movie in like 25 years probably. I still remember.
Maybe you should because you wouldn't fucking have it on your most romantic episode.
No,
You should probably watch it again.
I just remember. Yeah, you're probably right, but I just remembered like
You should
maybe-
watch it again. You watch it again and realize how ridiculous that movie is on your list.
It's totally 80s. I love it. All right. All right, what do you got?
Let's see. I'm gonna start going into the nerdy aspect of this. I got Neo and Trinity.
Oh,
here
yeah.
from The
Well,
Matrix.
from the Matrix, yeah. Matrix, not the other.
No, not the other. It's pretty subtle, but I mean it does build over the three movies. It's not as great as a change from like a couple like Aragon and Arwen because like in the book there's not a built romance in there like there is in the movie. Basically, I think she's given to him at the end of like Return of the King in the book, but in the movie that it kind of plays it a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree.
The Neo and the Trinity thing's a little weird too. I mean, it's a lot more romantic than Weird Science, but but it's kind of like said that like she already knows that she likes him from the first movie on.
Well, the Oracle tells her that she's going to end up with him, right? Like that was the
Right.
thing that,
Yeah.
yeah. But no, that was a good one. Their relationship is kind of weird, but nonetheless, I mean, they do end up together. He does like that one scene at the end of Reloaded where he flies over there and saves her, really fast. That was pretty cool.
Right.
But then she just dies in the
So
next one.
I read an article like uh, a while before that movie ever came out about how it was and this was before the internet, so I had to actually read it out of like maybe like Cinescape or some kind of movie magazine,
Hmm.
and they were analyzing the Superman, which is kind of funny and coincidental that we're talking about that, but they were analyzing the Superman scene where Superman flies up and saves Lois Lane,
Hmm.
and at the speed that she was dropping, at the speed that he was going, that he basically would have cut her in half or did like a Gwen Stacy and like snapped her neck. Because
That's so
how
romantic.
I know the way the actual way to like save her would have been to fly up and then match her speed
And as
and
he's
then
flying
like
down.
pull her out of the free fall, because basically he's a brick wall flying 500 miles an hour to go get in position to save her, and she's coming down at like like 100 miles an hour too, so figure like two things flying at each other and she's basically going to die, you know. So
It's like his.
Neo is even
It's
right,
like
but Neo is even flying faster because remember at his max speed, because he was like on the other side of the city
oh yeah.
in the Matrix, he was flying so fast that he was breaking the sound barrier, like you know,
Yes, the buildings were
and he carried like
crushing. Yeah.
right, and the cars were flying towards him like in Independence Day or some shit, like so he was going even faster, and he apparently they didn't read this article either because he just fucking catches her at top speed, and he would have fucking like it would have been like a bug on a like on a windshield at like 100 miles an hour, like she
You're
would have been
so
just
funny.
obliterated.
I love this analysis. I think somewhere in Reloaded also he flies across the way to when that truck blows up and on the freeway and the people fly off of it. He flies out of nowhere and grabs them and then like flies off. And I'm like, yeah, that would have just tore their clothes off. Like they still
Yeah,
would have died.
tore their clothes off or like dislocated like both their shoulder joints, ripped his arms off.
Rips his arms off. You're like, oh, I saved you.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned a movie that I have on my list because it's one of the ultimate romantic endings, and it never happened in the books really, but in the movies, in the holy trilogy of not the Star Wars trilogy, but the other holy trilogy of Lord of the Rings. Uh, Aragorn and Arwen's story, the way that ends. I mean, you cannot like not tear up after you watch all three of those movies, even if you watch them like one after another. But if you were like us and watched them 1 year at a time, you had to wait all that time. So it meant it was really strong when it happened. But that scene at the end, when the elves kind of break away and Aragorn sees Arwen at the end of the line there. It just the look on his face. I mean, it was just perfect. You can't get it any perfect than that. And their story finally ended. They finally got to be together for good. Such a really good, like such a cool moment in such a total nerdy movie, but it was like really good the way they did that. Filmed that
Or
perfect.
when Samwise gets with the waitress at the bar.
Aim higher, man.
Did you, for, did you forget about that one?
I did forget about that. That was pretty cool too. I love how he just like takes off and they're all like, "Where's he going?" And then he's
Yeah,
like,
I mean, well, basically, he fucking fought. He fought all over Middle Earth. Like, he's not scared anymore. He's like, fuck that. I can fight. I keep wanting to say Death Eaters, but they're not Death Eaters. The race.
you're like mixing your genres. Oh
I know,
no,
I'm
the
mixing
Death
them all up.
Eaters.
Yeah, when he fights a Death Eaters and a Death Star. And then Ra's al Ghul comes out and tells him he
Right.
wants to join him in the League of Shadows.
Gandalf's dead. Put him in the pit. Put him in the Lazarus pit. Uh, Harry, use your wand on the Balrog. Anyway,
Doc
that's
Ock, pull the lever, hurry up.
yeah. Yeah, so Return of the King was great. Do you have any more TV ones, or this is all nerdy movies now at this point? Do you have? I don't have any
I
TV.
think that was all for. I think Ross and Rachel were the only ones I had for TV.
Yeah.
I mean, thinking about it now, probably you would go with like Who's the Boss because it took them till like the last shot of the series to get them together.
Yeah. I was like, what took so long?
What was his name? Was it Tony in the show too?
Yeah, Tony Danza.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what was his name in the show?
I think
Was
his
it Tony?
name is Tony in like everything. Everything that he does, his name is fucking Tony. just like
well,
you know. Speaking of that, like freaking Steven Seagal is that dude is like a fucking cop, Italian cop in every movie he does. Like in every movie, or like recently now he's like a Cherokee Indian in every movie or something. Which is really weird.
He's doing like, isn't he doing like a documentary right now, like documentary type show where he's a military person?
Oh
I don't know.
jeez, I don't know. He was a cop for a while in a couple of like reality TV show. Imagine getting pulled over by Steven Seagal. You're like, oh, dude.
Like, just don't break my arm.
Yeah, don't snap it like you do in the movies. He was brutal back then, man. So I have The Princess Bride.
Oh, good one. I can't believe I don't have that in here.
Yeah, I showed that to my son, I think, for the first time just a few months ago because they were like sitting around going like, I want to watch a movie. I don't know what to watch. And I went and grabbed some Blu-rays, and that was the one on top. And I was like, oh man, he's never seen this. So we put it on, and yeah, the kids dug it. They thought it was really cool. But I noticed something like I haven't seen it in a long time, but those same feelings I had when I watched it when I was a kid are still there. I mean, that movie still freaking holds up. And my favorite part, I mean, spoilers to all of you guys that haven't watched that movie. You haven't watched it by now. You guys are really lame sauce. You need to go watch it. But there's a scene in there. I mean, it's not just the romantic scenes and all that stuff. I mean, because, you know, true love conquers all is what the main gist of the story. But there's, you know, that one guy, you know, just the love for his father. You know, he saw his father killed by the Six-Fingered Man, and
right.
it's the one scene.
Inigo Montoya.
Yeah, Inigo Montoya. That one scene in that movie where you just fucking get up and shout, "Yes, bitch!" You know, like you could not. You were so excited, like when he finally confronts him and he says that line over and over again. You know that it's so powerful and such a cool scene. But my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepared to die. And it's so fucking cool. Great movie, but great romantic story too. I mean, he goes out of his way to get back to his true love and saves the day at the end. It's fantastic.
Everybody is perfectly cast in that movie.
Oh yeah, it's wonderfully cast. And it took him years to get that movie made, and they finally it landed on. Was it Rob Reiner? It was somebody big.
Yeah, Rob Reiner.
Finally, like
Rob Reiner.
Yeah, they cracked the code and like made the movie, and it's so fucking good. The book is great too. I have the book.
It's a little different though, right? A little bit darker.
A little not. It doesn't stray too far. The movie doesn't stray too far. The movie's like one of those movies like Back to the Future. It's near perfect. Like nothing really needs to be changed about it. I can't think of any like flaws in that movie really. It's just a really cute, heartwarming story, but it's got really good messages in it, and it's not just like fun and happy and sad, but it's dark too at some certain times. Just yeah, I can't say any more like better stuff about that movie. I wish they would make more movies like that. What else you got?
I have Ron and Hermione from Harry Potter.
Yeah,
book and movies because I've watched and read everything that they have there.
Now,
so definitely Ron and Hermione.
we talked about that I think a long time ago. I don't know if we talked about it on air or not, but wasn't the book the portrayal of that situation better than what they did in the movie? Like I felt like in the book it was like when it happened it was like stronger.
Well, in the book, there's more. The narrator gives you more. Like, there's other side stories that happen, right? In the books always,
hmm
and a lot of the side stories, you get more of their interaction together over the course of. Is it 7 books? Right? It's
hmm
7 books, 8 movies, or 6 books, 7 movies.
7 books, 8 movies.
Okay, so over the course of 7 books, you get all this, you know, feelings and stuff that aren't really shown in the movies. Even though they start doing a decent job, they don't really play into it too much. But I
hmm
I almost want to say that, like, from book like 2 or 3 on, there was always something written there. Like, Rowling was very careful of not putting it too much into it, but
Yeah,
you
subtle.
could you could see that it was like growing and blossoming. And obviously, when it happened finally in the book, like, I was cheering. I mean, I still cheered for it in the movie too. It was perfectly done in the movie as well.
Yeah, I know that in the book, I think there was a lot of people that were shooting shit all around. Like they were in the middle of a fight, but in the movie, they actually went down to the basilisk to get or down to the Chamber of Secrets to get the basilisk fang, and they destroyed the Horcrux, and then they end up like kissing each other after that. Like so, they were alone, and but I think in the book, it was done like it was just a moment, like in the middle of battle or something like they thought, oh, we might die, so we got to do, like I need to do this now, kind of thing.
I can't remember. It's been
I
so
think
long
it
since
was
I read the
done better in
books.
the book if I remember right, but then again, a lot of stuff was done better in the book with some of those books. But no, that's a good one. That's a good pull. I have Zombieland in mind. Um,
that's
which like
that's 2 fucking horror comedies
yeah, I
you
I
have there,
know.
along
When
with
I was
Weird
like thinking of
Science.
Shaun of the Dead, immediately I went to two other movies like popped in my head. One was Cloverfield, and the other one was Zombieland. And not that like it's like this total romantic thing, but like I just remember just thinking to myself, like in Shaun of the Dead and Cloverfield, like when the shit hits the fan, the first thing that they think of is I need to go get my loved one. And like in Cloverfield, during the found footage movie, that's what he does. He's like he just broke up with this girl. He's about to travel overseas, and then the shit goes down. The monster hits the city, and then he's like, I gotta go get my girlfriend, or my ex girlfriend, whatever, like the love of my life. Like he figures out, oh shit, I need to go do this. And so it's like very harrowing, like all the shit he has to go through to get to his girlfriend, which he eventually makes it to her. And um, I won't spoil the ending, but um, yeah, but in Zombieland, it's kind of the same. It's not the same thing as that, but it is and it isn't. I mean, like he meets what's her name, Emma Stone, and like falls
Who
for her.
tries to rip him off? Who,
Yeah,
who tries to rip him off?
yeah, she rips him off because he's like got a boner, and and Woody Harrelson's so funny in that. He's just like, oh, geez, you idiot. But eventually, they kind of fall for each other a little bit, but then again, ultimately rips him off again. And then they decide, instead of like just taking off and just like going their separate ways, he's like, no, we need to go after them. And he ends up getting there just in time and saving her. So it was pretty cool. And I look forward to the sequel whenever they get around to making it. But I don't know. Like I think I'm just a sucker for that kind of stuff. Like I'm kind of like I like the romantic stuff like Love Actually and things like that. But for the sake of this show, I'm kind of going a little nerdy, a little far left, I guess. What else you got?
I, let's see. I got Bruce Wayne and Rachel Dawes in Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, which is a little weird since Rachel changes people. She's not the
Yeah,
same.
yes,
She's not the
changes
same
actress,
actress.
which Maggie Gyllenhaal I thought was way better than Katie Holmes. I think Katie Holmes stuck out like a sore thumb in Batman Begins. Just kind of had those like
Yeah, she wasn't. Yeah,
childish features
you're
or
right.
something. I don't know what it is. Like I couldn't believe that she was like a head, like district attorney or some shit. I was like, like Denise Richards was a fucking rocket scientist in Die Another Day or whatever that was. No, World Is Not Enough. I was like, yeah, right. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
so it was not very believable.
I thought it was a pretty tragic. I mean, they build it up, and Nolan builds it up from the beginning of their relationship, and they were just like play buddies,
Mm-hmm.
growing up, and obviously there's something there, and he basically reveals his secret to her. And then in the second movie, they grow apart a little bit because he is Batman now. Spoilers, but you should have fucking seen it by now. These are the two best superhero movies ever made. So fuck you if you haven't seen it yet. But when she dies not knowing that, or she dies, Bruce thinking that she was choosing him.
Right.
It's like it made, like, I remember that when that happened in the theater. This was like in the second, at that time it was like the second biggest IMAX in the country. But I remember thinking how human and tragic Batman even like was before, but now he was even more so of how they wrote him in, and how he thinks that, like, it just made him like just like us, like
Right.
thinking that like the girl's gonna go with you, but you had no idea that she had no intention of being with you.
Right.
So it just brought him down to earth. Like, it was just a subtle thing. It's not. I mean, it wasn't subtle like plot point, but it was like just one of those things where, like, it's just like us. It made Batman even more human um, than he already was.
And then he becomes a recluse for 8 years, and he's got a fucking bum knee that he fixes in 2 seconds with
Yeah,
a
Batman doesn't
rubber
quit.
band on his knee or some shit, whatever that was.
Yeah,
Uh,
he doesn't in the comic books. He doesn't stop for a chick. He becomes Batman. He becomes Batman to avenge his parents. He doesn't stop because his girlfriend died.
right. That
He
it
wasn't
wasn't
act-
even his
She wasn't
girlfriend.
even actually. Yeah, at the time she wasn't even the girlfriend. She was doing the DA.
8 years. Like
So
I was surprised. Like it would have been funny if he just like popped up and he had like a big fucking beard and he looked all like totally like a vagrant. Instead, he looked fucking normal. I'm like, what have you been doing in there for 8 years?
yeah, and after 8 years, he could still fit into the bat suit. He's like been limping around for 8 years. How the fuck did he not gain a
Oh
pound?
shit. He's like puts on like a girdle to like fit in that suit. He's like, Alfred, dude, I
Either
need you to limp
that,
this out.
or either that, or he looks like he did in the Machinist. You
Oh
remember Christian Bale in the
shit.
Machinist?
Oh yeah.
Like, because he wasn't really eating. Remember, he wasn't really kind of eating in the Dark Knight Rises. And again, it's been 8 years, so either he got like really fat or he got like really skinny. There's like no in between, staying the same.
He gets after 8 years of limping around, he's like takes on Bane. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
right. You fucking idiot. No
and
wonder.
he put on a knee brace that looked like two pieces of like tinfoil.
He got it from Walmart.
Yeah, and he could kick like the side of a brick off.
Right.
Like the columns that were holding up Wayne Manor. He just fucking kicks at it like it's like a pile of sand.
Because of the knee brace, not because of the metal boot
Yeah,
or whatever.
clearly, Christopher Nolan does not believe in Western medicine because he's clearly like satiring it. He's like, no, your disc is bulging, but let me just hang you up from this rope for whatever, and just punch the bulge back into your spine because that's normal. And then your rehab is just you hanging there until you can get your fucking lazy ass out of the rope.
Right? It took
Like, just imagine that.
it took him years to like become Batman, and yet he fixes like 8 years off the job, and and he's broken and all that stuff, and just a what, a shitty chiropractor and a rope, and like he's like better than ever. Like now I'm like better Batman than I was when I was like in my 20s. I'm like,
That doctor, or that whatever that doctor was in the pit, he took more care to the cut on his like head than he did fixing his spine. Like, he made sure that like the cloth was clean from clean water, cleaning his wounds,
yeah.
and then like making sure all that was like sterile. But nope, your bulging disc. I'm just gonna punch that back in.
He's like, he's
So
got Rocky comes in and starts beating on him like a piece of meat.
so fucking ridiculous. He literally says to him in the movie, like, just hang there till you can get off there by yourself.
Can you imagine, like, you can imagine, it's like, fuck you, get me down. I gotta go to the bathroom, you asshole.
Could you imagine if you walked into his like rehab center? It's just people just hanging on ropes all over the fucking place.
People are like, what the hell? My insurance isn't gonna cover this shit. I want to see your license.
Oh my god!
Can you imagine you're a chiropractor and you're like going to that movie and you're just sitting there shaking your head. You're just like,
He's like the
is...
doctor from 30 Rock.
He's like,
you ever watch 30 Rock?
Yes.
The doctor's so ridiculous in that show.
Dr. Spaceman.
The guy
Dr.
from
Spaceman.
Yeah, he's the same. He learned medicine from the guy from The Dark Knight Rises.
Right. Exactly. It's like chiropractor's like, yeah, I'm gonna go onto your movie set and I'm gonna shoot a big budget movie for you. Because
So what if a shark bit off your leg in his doctor world? Does he hang it by a rope and just say, let it hang there till it grows back?
He's just
Just
like,
hang there, it'll grow back.
it's just hang therapy. I developed it. It works.
Yeah.
It works for
But
every
make sure
different
you wash
ailment.
your hands. Make sure you wash your hands and use a clean cloth. Otherwise, it won't grow back.
Right. You're gonna get infected.
Yeah.
I have I still haven't seen the end of this movie that I'm about to say.
And
but
you have it on your list?
I do, because it was a pretty, like, I don't know, I think ultimately it was kind of like a romantic movie, because it's so it's called Warm Bodies, and it was like about, the zombie apocalypse happened. But you
It's
find out
Nicholas Holt's in it.
What's that?
Nicholas Holt is in it.
Yeah, the Beast himself. You find out that through, like, I don't know, he meets this girl, and he, like, all of a sudden, like, his heart starts to kind of, like, grow back, like, become functional again like a human's, and he starts turning human little by little because of the emotions he's having. And so once they figure that out, they're able to, like, turn the zombies around. But there was a part where, like, when he meets her and he starts to change, and he could, like, barely speak. I mean, the zombies still walk around and, like, fucking go to work and go to the bar and all this stupid shit. But they're just, like, really slow, and they look diseased and all that. But, like, he meets the girl and he starts to change, and then you find out, of course, that she's the daughter of, like, this military guy that wants to wipe all the zombies out. And so they have to, like, work together to try to stop them from doing that, because they're like, no, look, we can change, we can turn them back. Problem is, I'm like 3/4 of the way through this movie, probably 90% through this movie. All of a sudden, I had, like, freaking food poisoning. Like, for the last, like, half hour of the movie, I had the sweats. And so I left my girlfriend at the time. I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I went in there, and it came out both ends. I was just it was horrible. And I was in there
We
for,
are
like,
recording. You know that, right?
yeah, I know. I was in there for a half hour, and then I go back to the movie. I sit back in the movie, and there's just credits, and I'm like, oh, what happened? And she's like, well, we win. Everyone, like, is saved. And I was like, oh, okay. So I never saw the end
I
of
would
it.
have fucking lied. I would have been like, it was really weird when, like, Green Lantern showed up.
Right? Dude, this chiropractor showed up, and he put the zombies upside down, and they fucking turned human again. It was weird.
Yeah.
Said you can't come down until you turn human. So, I only have one other thing on here. What do you got?
I actually have Titanic on here.
That's a good one.
I mean, it's the one movie everybody really goes to. I don't know. It's a pretty good love story. I liked it. It made a big impact on me because of how the special effects were done in that movie.
Right?
Like I was completely blown away by it. Like that, that it's typical me, right? Like I'm watching, like, this romantic movie, and I'm like,
Get back to the
holy
ship.
shit, the special effects. Yeah, the special effects were fucking sick in this movie.
Yeah.
Just the authenticity of that movie anyway, like how meticulous they went with trying to make sure that they had the right plates, like what the ballroom looks like, all this shit, everything laid
Yeah.
out. But there is a love story there. um,
He did it right,
so I
unlike
mean,
Pearl Harbor.
yeah, yeah, yeah. She wasn't in love with somebody else or anything like that.
Love
Somebody else
triangle.
had the baby. Yeah. Billy Zane was a real dick in that movie. Like,
Yeah, he was.
speaking of like people like you didn't think could be like real assholes, he was a real asshole in that movie. I like Billy Zane.
I did too. I did too, but I don't like the Phantom. That movie's shit.
No, yeah, that's not.
And now we're
not
gonna
good.
get Black Panther, which is kind of like Phantom, but way better. Like way better.
It's not even. It's not even close to the Phantom.
Yeah, but the Phantom's like in a jungle and shit. So like his layer's in a jungle, but he's like in a fucking purple outfit. I'm like, why are you wearing that in a goddamn jungle? We can see you.
That's like in Batman v Superman, where the first time you see Batman, right? Like, remember the cops walking up the stairs, and it's kind of like a creepy moment, right? And the cop is like looking at the body that he's. I mean, the guy's not dead, but he's like knocked out.
Yeah.
And the camera pulls back, and the Dark Knight is hiding directly in the spotlight, right above the guy is like laid down there. It's like it's at nighttime. It's
like,
at nighttime, and he's wearing black and gray, and he hides in the light.
He might as well have been standing behind like a curtain with his shoes sticking out.
It's like the scene in it reminds me of the scene in Grandma's Boy when he comes out of that lady's office.
Yeah.
And the nerd guy is just standing there with a jacket covering his face next to the wall.
Yeah, like a lampshade.
He thinks it's
on his head.
invisible. He thinks he's invisible. He's like, how did he see me?
Yeah, I remember that because that ceiling isn't even that high. I mean, if he
No, it's literally like 2 feet above the body.
if he was any closer, his head would have hit his knee. He'd be like, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah, exactly. Like, you couldn't have found a better like hiding spot than like what are you like a fucking cockroach? Like, you just like, oh shit, I'm just gonna stand still. He thinks like the police officer's vision is based on movement, like he's a fucking
Right.
T-Rex.
Oh my god.
So
Yeah,
Bruce
that
Wayne's
was-
Bruce Wayne's terrible at being the world's greatest detective in Snyder's version, and he's like the worst hide and seek player ever.
He loses every time.
Yeah, he's like, Bruce, you're standing right in the middle of the room. We can see you.
You're under the carpet. I can see you.
Yeah.
Still, like,
There's also an episode of South Park where Cartman thinks he has a superpower that he can be invisible, so he takes all his clothes off. He doesn't think anybody can see him, but everybody can fucking see him.
Wasn't it in Mystery Man too? Like the guy's like, hey, I could turn
Yeah,
invisible.
yeah.
And they're like, oh, sweet, like show us. And he's like, I can't. You can't look at me when I turn invisible. And they're like, okay,
Yeah.
well, that's bullshit. And of course, later on, they don't.
Well,
look
that
at
guy
him.
can actually turn invisible.
Yeah, he only
He
turns.
actually does turn invisible.
Yep, but only because nobody's looking at him. It's such stupid superpower. It's just the dumbest thing in the world. Okay. I have.
What else do you?
What do I have left? Okay, so I did Warm Bodies. What do you got? Or did you already did one?
Oh, I
You
did
did
Titanic.
You did Titanic. Okay. We know the ship sinks, whatever. Oh, speaking of Titanic, they keep going back to that stupid debate about the freaking door. You notice that? Like, it came back in the news again, like, recently. And he kept, like, Cameron's having to keep defending the stupid door. Like, like, everyone's
could have
complaint.
survived.
Yeah, everyone's complaint was like, Jack could have fit on that door with her, and he's like, no, like it wasn't big enough. It was like you see it, like him trying to get on there, but it starts like moving really hard, so he just stays in the water. And my whole thing was, I'm watching it, going like, why don't you guys take turns going on and off the door, so not one of you is just sitting in the water the whole time, But whatever. That's I mean, yeah, eventually they probably both would have died, I guess, but. It's better than sitting there watching the one person die in front of you. So, I don't know. I think they could have, like, They could have done a number of things. Grabbed a bunch of dead bodies and piled them together and just laid on top of them. I mean, fuck. I mean, it's like a morbid waterbed, but still, it's like, you got to survive. You do whatever you got to do. But whatever. Um, I
What's your last movie?
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Okay.
So I read those books. The shitty thing is, I read all those books, right? The movie came out the same day that the seventh book came out. So I was like, really? So I went and watched the movie and saw how it ended, and then I read the book like way later. I just thought that was the dumbest thing that they did. But anyway, I went and saw the movie, and I really really enjoyed it. I was one of the few, actually. I don't know a whole lot of people that like that movie. It's actually overgrown better and better every time I watch it. But he's fights all her 7 boyfriends to be with her, and he has to go through all this like shit. And of course, it's so nerdy and geeky because like if you're really into video games, if you're really into comic books, really into kind of silliness and all that stuff, it just hits all the right marks, and they have all this huge cast. Like Chris Evans, I think, plays it one. Brandon Routh plays a boyfriend. Jason Schwartzman plays the ultimate, I think, the last boyfriend. I think there's even a part in it where there's like he fights against like his band fights against these 2 Japanese DJs, which I thought was a really cool scene, pretty unique.
Yeah, I like that movie. It's a cult favorite of mine.
Yeah, it's a total cult favorite, absolutely. And Mary Elizabeth Winstead, she's got like those amazing eyes, you know. So you can kind of see why he kind of fell for it and everything. And she's just like a cool chick. But yeah. Anyway, that's my last movie that I've got. I have others written down, but I think that was my core romantic movies. And of course, I went totally geeky on a lot of those, but some of them probably weren't even romantic. I think I even had Empire Strikes Back on there at one point.
That's more romantic than Weird Science.
That Han Solo wasn't wearing underwear while he was showering with Princess Leia. That's for sure. Like, let's loosen these buns so I can pull on your hair.
I have.
That's so romantic.
I have Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy in Amazing Spider-Man.
Fantastic.
1 and 2.
Yes.
The chemistry for those two were basically definitely carried the second film.
Yes.
And carried some of the first film too. Those are the only 2 reasons that make the second movie even bearable to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Are those 2. I remember being incredibly sad when Gwen died, even though I knew she was going to die.
Mm-hmm.
But the movie was so goddamn terrible. But their chemistry and the relationship that they built up from the first movie gets you to that scene.
Right.
Outside of those 2, that second movie is terrible. The first one's pretty good. It's probably right behind Spider-Man 1.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the Spider-Man movies are out, like I think Spider-Man 2 is the best of those. Then the first Spider-Man, and then the first Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. Yeah, I loved their relationship together.
I love them better.
Yeah.
I love them better together than I did Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst.
Oh God, for sure. I couldn't. I didn't see the. I just didn't see it. I don't think they had that kind of chemistry that Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone
I don't
had.
think so.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they were really dating in real life, so that was kind of there too. That probably helped a lot. But those are pretty.
But I also liked the fact that they waited, I think, all the way till the end of Spider-Man 2 for her for the real reveal. I think she kind of knew he was Spider-Man already, but because the cemetery scene at the end of the first one, but she's not quite sure. But at the end of the second one, when his mask comes off and she sees him, that look, that she gives and everything, it's just like, oh man, that's so cool. But they didn't really get that moment in Amazing Spider-Man. I mean, they did a little bit, like she just kisses him and figures out, oh, it's you or whatever. figures out that he's Spider-Man. But I just like how in the Raimi ones they kind of they gave it a while before she figured it out.
Yeah, I mean that scene where he's upside down, the Spider-Man kiss is pretty romantic. I thought.
Yeah, in the first movie, yeah.
It apparently was not romantic at all. It was like the exact opposite of romantic because like Tobey Maguire is basically like being waterboarded during that scene. They were talking like because of the way that the mask was pulled
Right.
up to his nose, basically it was like collecting water and like dripping it into his nostrils as he was hanging upside down.
Oh my gosh.
And if you watch that scene again, remember what I said that he's basically drowning in there, and then you look immediately to his neck and he's like all these veins popping out because he's struggling
to
to
breathe.
breathe to try to look like romantic kissing Kirsten Dunst, but he's really like gasping for air. He's
That's
like dying.
so funny. Like, so now every time everyone listens to this and they go to watch that movie, they're like, "Oh, he's almost dying right there."
Yeah,
Like,
I fucking spoiled one of the
fucking
most romantic
ruined
kisses
it.
coming out of the early 2000s. Yeah, one of the most romantic kisses. I just ruined it for all of you. Fuck you.
And he's upside down. It helps his back.
He's drowning.
Yeah, and
he's drowning. He's not really into the kiss. He's not really into the kiss. He just wants to breathe.
I don't care how hot you are. I'm drowning. I'm dying.
Yeah, he's not even noticing that he can see your nipples through your shirt, Kirsten Dunst. He's just dying.
Oh man. Well, that's all I got.
We're gonna end it on Tobey Maguire almost dying.
It's a beautiful thing.
How's that for romance?
That's very romantic because
Yeah.
he almost died just to get a hot girl to kiss him. But
Yeah.
either that or go out there, defeat a biker gang, and you can get the girl.
Yeah.
So
I still don't understand why that movie's on your list.
this is a learning show. So we learned that don't do upside down kisses in the rain. We learned that chiropractic is a bullshit science. Just hang upside down with the
According
rope.
to Christopher Nolan, who doesn't believe in Western medicine.
Exactly. And and Weird Science taught us that if you defeat a biker gang, you can get the girl. So
Yeah.
it's all good. It all leads to romance, all of it. So that was episode 66. Chew on this, a Nerds United podcast. I'm BJ.
Vic.
Until next time, folks, chew on that and happy Valentine's Day.
Later.